1 year ago, I ended Carnivore Year 1 at 252 pounds, 118 pounds down from 370. I was there holding my newborn daughter, wondering what life would even look like moving forward. And Year 2 answered that question in ways that I never expected. I lost even more weight. I faced brand new challenges. And oddly enough, I rewrote some regrets that I've lived with ever since my childhood. And I also watched the people around me, including my wife, join the journey along with me. Year 2 wasn't about losing weight. It was about living in a body I didn't know that I could have, and a life inspiring others that I didn't know ever could be. So let me show you what happened quarter by quarter. Welcome back to Goforth&Carnivore. I'm Jordan, sharing my real life and real results so that everyday people like you and me can take control back of their health one steak at a time. Just a little reminder, everything you're about to hear happened after the big transformations of Year 1. This is Year 2, 2024, months 13 through 24, where things got real, messy, meaningful, and honestly, life-changing. So let's jump in. Quarter 1, February, March, and April, the hardest reset yet since I started this carnivore journey. I didn't expect Year 2 to hit as hard as it did, but boy did it. We had a newborn. My wife is recovering from having that newborn. And not to mention, we now have 2 kids, 2 and under, that are now needing my full constant attention. We no longer have man-on-man coverage with having 3 kids. And the routines that I spent a year mastering, those were all thrown out the window the moment our daughter was born. This is the first time that I found myself stumbling, not because of cravings that I've had in the past, but because of life, of trying to find this new routine of sleep, living, of a new child, and not to mention how to make sure that we're eating correctly in the middle of this. But as I've said previously, we had our community surrounding us, but also we had to find this new routine within our house where we were keeping ourselves in check to make sure that we were eating the things that we needed to do to where we were maintaining our health. It was a slow rise to normal, but we found a new normal, essentially. In February, my son and I went to Monster Jam. It was my very first before and after picture from the carnivore journey. You see, Monster Jam was the very first big event that I went to after starting the carnivore journey the year prior. 1 year later, standing in that exact arena, taking that exact same picture, I didn't even recognize the man that I used to be, and I had lost a few pounds at that point in that first picture, and it hit me that this is the new me. This is actually working. This is actually staying with me. And later on, I got to rewrite a childhood regret. Every year as a youth pastor, I take my juniors and seniors to Six Flags where we have our last hoorah between the 2 classes and that rite of passage that we do, passing on the baton from juniors to seniors. As a kid, going to Six Flags, I was always too much of a scaredy cat to ride any rides. And by the time I was bold enough to ride a ride, I was frankly too big to ride in any seat. I'm just going to be real with you. The very last time that I went to Six Flags with my mom, before she got too sick and unable to do stuff like that, while we were there, I was a very selfish child, and I kept her from riding the rides that she wanted to enjoy and being around the rest of my family who were going to ride roller coaster after roller coaster. I capitalized her time by making me go sightseeing and doing different boring stuff just because I was too scared to go be on any other rides or too selfish to go let her riding other rides with the family. And my mom, being the wonderful mom that she was, made sure that I was taken care of, didn't worry about herself, and missed out on riding all those roller coasters one last time. Little did we know that it would be her last time to go there. And to be brutally honest, I've carried that regret for literally decades. But this time, in 2024, a new man, a new body, a new boldness, a new outlook on life, I rode every single ride that I was able to. Front row, back row, solo rider. I screamed my head off like a little kid, making up for lost time. It felt like I was healing, Like I was honoring my mom by doing what she had always wanted me to try and what I had prevented her from doing. I wish I could tell you the sense of freedom that it gave me to jump on those coasters, scream like a little girl, and to get to honor my mom and to let go of that regret of that last time that I was there with my mom. That story may seem so little, but that was a very weird but huge healing moment for me along this journey. And then we were in another season of T-ball on a whole new team. I found myself coaching my son's T-ball team yet again, but a whole new set of now 5-year-olds trying to figure out their rhythm and keeping up with their pace. But I did it. I kept up. I ran those bases. I taught them how to tag. I taught them how to run to catch those fly balls, and I was able to keep up with them. And that's something that I just wish I could have done 2 years prior. And then quarter 2, May through July, the summer heat and finding my rhythm once again. Because by spring and into summer, that's where things started to really make sense on this new normal that we had going on. This was the first summer in decades where I didn't melt the moment that I stepped outside. What a change. And oddly enough, I found confidence within a suit for the first time ever. You see, I performed a wedding for a couple that I had counseled for the groom that I had known for years and years. And for once, I didn't dread dressing up. But I did have to go buy a new suit because at this point, I only had old clothes that would have looked like blankets on me at this point from 2 years prior. But instead of looking like a fat guy in a little coat this time, I felt sharp, put together, and confident. Just look at us. Rachel and I look even better now that I don't overwhelm the frame. And then my first year 2 slip, the dreaded chips and salsa. And Six Flags round 2. We took our youth back to SOAR in Dallas and we went to Six Flags yet again with them. I rode every roller coaster again, screamed my head off, and was able to sit down, buckle, no questions asked. It was a wonderful rhythm to get into here. And during our stay in Dallas, I caved. El Chico was my childhood favorite restaurant to go to, and we had it catered for the students, which may have been my first mistake. I reached for those chips and salsa. I overate, of course, and I immediately regretted it. The inflammation hit fast. The bloating hit even harder. And the next couple of days were rough. But I did my best not to spiral, and it took a good couple of weeks. But I did what I could to yet again reset. It's all about the reset. I fasted, hydrated, stuck to meat, and got back on track. And I had to be reminded, failing wasn't the end. Staying down is. And then quarter 3, August to October. I live in Oklahoma, so that just means more heat. But with that came more health and helping others. So my workplace does annual labs where we have to get checkups to be able to qualify for a certain level of insurance. And this was the first year that my numbers came back normal. Who would have thought that that'd be a goal of mine, just to be normal? But it was something that I had never experienced really. No borderline, no concerning remarks, not let's retest this in 3 months, just normal labs. I didn't realize how good normal could feel. And here's a wonderful result. The people around me started changing too. By late summer, people weren't staring out of shock anymore. They were curious. They were asking questions. They were looking for help. And guess what? My brother that I've talked about in previous videos, he joined in on the carnivore lifestyle. He got to see the results and he got to see the health benefits too. I watched people I love take control of their health because they saw what was happening in my very own life. This was a huge and meaningful part of year 2. And the fall fair tradition came around. Our yearly Ferris wheel picture, I'm actually liking these pictures now. No sucking in, no hiding, just a dad proud of the moment that he captured with his son. And then quarter 4, November through January, traditions, temptations, and transformations. I got to have another Thanksgiving without chaos. This Thanksgiving wasn't a battle. I cooked the food as I normally do, the ham, dressings, and sides and desserts. And I stuck to staying in control rather than failing, giving in, and being miserable. This is Thanksgiving number 2 in the books. This was also the season that my wife joined in on her own modified KetoVore journey. Mostly meat, a few veggies, a fruit every now and then, but mostly just simple ingredients. And the baby weight that she had struggled with started melting off. Seeing her confidence come back postpartum was seriously one of the greatest parts of year 2. And if I can be honest, she's my most favorite part of any year. And then December 9th rolled around, our first date tradition. Since Rachel and I met, every December 9th we reenact our very first date. Back in 2011, my then crush Rachel had never tried Fruity Pebbles or watched Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey version. And since we were states away from each other on our very first date, I mailed it to her, and that's what we did. We had a FaceTime date with Fruity Pebbles and the Grinch. So this year, I made carnivore ice cream, and I sprinkled a few Fruity Pebbles on top and enjoyed the tradition without derailing my progress. And this video is going live on December 9th. So tonight, my family and I are going to be cuddled up, eating Fruity Pebbles, carnivore style, and watching the Grinch, and getting to celebrate another year of the wonderful life that we get to share together. So cheers to another year with us. Speaking of a new year, 2025 came around, and a new kind of celebration. This was my very first full January to December of living purely carnivore and staying consistent. It was crazy that at this point I was about to celebrate 2 years of the carnivore journey and staying a healthy weight and a healthier body. At a friend's wedding in early 2025, Rachel was a bridesmaid and I was an MC at the wedding. It was the first time that our entire family was at an event dressed to the nines. And I was still a shadow compared to the smoke show that Rachel was, but I was confident to stand next to my family rather than trying to hide in the shadows. It's a wonderful picture and one that we treasure because, quite frankly, we're not dressy people. So here's what year 2 brought. 24 more pounds lost. That's not dramatic compared to the 118 pounds in year 1, but this year was about finding a rhythm and a lifestyle rather than trying to find a number. But a total of 142 pounds lost since starting at that 370 pound mark just 2 years ago. With a low weight of 228 pounds. Still blows my mind. I was fitting into some large shirts and some medium shorts. It's insane to even think that I would ever have fit into a medium anything again. But I did. I had more strength, I had more energy, I had more confidence, and I had a healthy marriage, a healthy family, and I also have a family and community joining me along in this journey. Like I said, year 2 wasn't about the scale. It was about identity, freedom, and taking responsibility for the life that God had given me. If my journey has encouraged you, hit that like button and share this with someone who needs hope today. It truly helps get my story out, and hopefully it helps encourage someone to take responsibility of their own health. And tell me in the comments, I want to hear from you. Tell me one thing that you are most excited about fitting back into, or you want to fit into. For me, it was a blazer. Because I've always, again, felt like the fat guy in a little coat where it was either too long or it just made me look like the marshmallow man by wearing a huge coat. But what is it for you? What do you want to feel confident in? What have you felt confident in that you hadn't felt in years because you took control of your health? And if you haven't yet, subscribe to see what's ahead on my journey. Year 3 is coming, and trust me, things just keep getting crazier for me. I can't help it. So join me next time. And until then, go forth and carnivore. Bye, guys.